Cooking is the joy of my life. Teaching, I like even more. Follow me into my kitchen, because today we're going to make salad Lyonnaise with poached egg. An unusual combination, yet so wonderful, so tasty, and so easy to make. Poached Schnitzel with Jaeger Sauce. It's not Italian, but it's fantastic. And we end with homemade strawberry pudding. It's so full of flavor. You will make it all the time. To be a good cook, sometime you have to step outside of the box. Come for the recipes. Stay for the story. One of the rules about learning is if somebody's trying to teach you something, you may want to shut up and listen, especially if it's something that is new to you, if it's a way to handle a spice, if it's how to heat a spice, how to treat a particular protein. Pay attention. The first time, always try to understand what is being taught to you and trying to find the line in the middle. The way in which I see it is every dish has its own truth. And if you're able to find the line in the middle and bring it through, it's like this wonderful adventure that takes you to this mountaintop where you're able to see everything. Salad Lyonnaise with poached egg on top. This is a salad that saved my life. Why? We were in Paris with my wife, we're having a terrible day, we're getting upset at each other until they served us the salad. And after that, I felt wonderful. As a matter of fact, I hugged her and I kissed her too. So, next time you're in trouble, this might be the salad you want to try. Let me show you how to make it. I would like to tell you that this is a salad I invented. Not true at all. We took an early dinner at one restaurant and I was scouting through the menu and there it was, salad Lyonnaise. And for the first time, I wanted to see what it was. So let me share with you how to make the salad. The first thing is curly and dive. Let me show you how I like to handle. I'm trying to be very selective. I cut the bottom that to us does no good, and then I spread all the leaves of the salad on the cutting board. And just like a little boy that's choosing his favorite toys, I choose my favorite leaves. So here it goes. Here I put my favorite leaves, and then I put the ones I don't like. As you see, I don't want to cut anymore. This is, in my opinion, absolutely splendid. This is a heart of romaine. For those of you who've seen romaine salads at the farm, you'll know that the romaine salad is much, much bigger. It's almost like this wide. But because of the transport, the storage, most of the leaves on the outside go bad. This is the core, the inner sanctum of it, so to speak. But still, not good enough for us. So I cut away this bit of it, and then I cut the back of it. Why? I would like to have the option to spread on my cutting board all that I like, and then I'll give you a judgment of the leaves that you want to use. Look how much prettier the leaves are once they are on the inside. These leaves to me are gold. So what I like to do, I like to place these right here. There are some small ones that you can do, and then when you get to leaves like this, you have to consider what do you want to do. I want to cut this in half, so I take this half and I place it over there. Now we have a nice leaf like this. What do I want to do? I want to take the weak curlies out. Why do I call them weak curlies? That's a name I made up. But this gives you a much crunchier piece if you go right in the middle. It's almost like cutting the filet mignon out of a salad, which seems impossible, but it's true. This instead, look how nice and fluffy it is, nice and fresh. It was the inner core. So this one, I don't even need to cut the edges. That's good enough for a single serving. And now, let me show you how to make the dressing. The salad dressing is very simple to make because we are really counting in the making of this dressing on the power of the mustard. In this case, we have a nice deep grain mustard that we place right in here. Then a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. It is not the French way, but it's the way I like it. And then just a touch of lemon juice, and then a little bit of vinegar, white vinegar. It is at this point that you should ask yourself, you know, Nick, I love the idea of this, but wouldn't it be nice if it was sweeter? And you're right, and that's a pinch of brown sugar. This yin and yang between all the elements of the sour, the tart, the sugar, the sweet is going to be fantastic. Now, let's turn this into a nice dressing. And that's exactly what we want to do. Remember, A dressing becomes a dressing once the olive oil emulsifies. What does it mean it emulsifies? We're incorporating air into the oil, so the oil itself plumps up. As it plumps up, it thickens up, and here you see it. Look, before your very own eyes, you see how quickly this came? The little grains that are part of the mustard, these are fantastic ingredients. There are many ways that you can dress the salad. One of the fastest way is by using tools just like this, but these are the most beautiful tools. These tools, our hands, were given to us by God. And the reason why I like to do this is because I like to see all of the dressing covering the salad properly. An underdressed salad is almost like a bit of a cheat. And there we are. There's a wonderful element that I like to add at this point, croutons. You can make your own croutons or you can buy it at the store. The salad still needs a couple more additions, but they will be done at plating time. Right now we have all the elements that we like. The last thing that I like to do is to put a little bit of pepper. Now, let me go wash my hands. When I come back, I'm going to show you how to elegantly plate the salad. You will love it. The romaine salad and the curly endive make a wonderful mix together. And I love placing them in here. And the stiffness that they have is just a structural thing that gives the salad a lift. Beautiful to look at it this way. The dressing is a perfect complement, and it would be great the way that it is, exactly right here, right now. But there is something more that I want to do to the salad, and I want to add it while you're watching. Now, you've seen me before in one of my previous episodes. I showed you how to make poached eggs. This salad is famous in the city of Lyonnaise for the usage of the poached egg. And here's a wonderful poached egg that we made earlier on, and we place it right here on top of the salad. But this is not the only addition that we have. The salad is the salad that keeps on giving. She keeps on going. So the next thing that we're going to do, if you have an extra few croutons, place them around. But the true element of beauty is going to be the pancetta. I have basically browned it, cooked it all the way through, and now this thing will melt into your mouth. And this one, I don't want to throw it. I just want to put it in as if there were little pearls. This is a salad that really eats like a meal. It has got the eggs. It's got the pancetta inside. Then the romaine. We've gone straight to the core. There's this personality of strength, this ambition, this willfulness. I know, I'm talking too much about a salad. Well, I think that everything that we do in life, especially when it comes to food, is a representation of who we are. And in my opinion, this is how you make the perfect Lyonnaise salad. When it comes to cooking, one of the essential truths is that there is not a single truth about cooking. Cooking is a series of variations and inspirations, spices, assemblies, style of cooking, usage of heat, in which small, tiny little steps that seem to be insignificant make a huge difference. The onions, for example, if you chop them really fine, or if you cut them big, they have a different flavor within the context of the dish. In some cases, you want to have them one way. Some other cases, you want to have them a different way. And then there is the spices, which might not be native to the heritage that you have. They suddenly surprise you as they bring this opening to a dish that you'll be making forever. Pork Schnitzel with Jaeger sauce. Obviously, it is not an Italian recipe, but it's fantastic. I learned this recipe while traveling to Germany. It's so incredible, it should be Italian. Let me show you how to make it. Jaeger Schnitzel. I know, it's not Italian, it's German. How can it be that an Italian loves German food? Well, it conquered me. I was on vacation with my wife, we went to Germany, I learned this dish, and I loved it so much that when I came back, I made it every day for a month until I nailed it. Perfect! And my wife says to me, whoa, you should be a chef. So, let me share with you, step by step, how to make this. All right. First thing we want to do is to take these pieces of meat that we have right in here and turn them into pork scallopini. I've taken this piece of meat and the other one from a pork roast. And that's more often what you will find at the store, but these are too big to be scallopini. Scallopini is basically a trickery the families use to make a piece of meat go a long way. So you will notice how big these pieces will become once we treat them. So let's move these guys aside. And let me put in here something that will show you how we're going to do this. This is a plastic bag. I love these plastic bags because they give us a perfect direction on how to pound the scallopini. You will see this in just a second now. The reason why we pound it and why this is important is with this trap between the two layers of plastic, we have the ability of shaping it as we wish. Here's the piece that we have pounded, and here's what we started with. So as you can see, it stretches out. And now, we're gonna do the rest of them. You see how I blow the strength? I go middle, pull outward. Middle, pull outward. This way you have an even spreading. We finished pounding the scallopini. Now I want to show you how to flavor them and how to coat them with flour. So first thing that I like to do is to sprinkle them with flavor. You might ask yourself, what's in here? You can do this with regular salt and pepper. It works fantastic. But me, I got an invention in here, something that I absolutely adore. I called it the Nick's Magic Rub. What is it? Onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, paprika, cayenne, and of course, we put a little bit of brown sugar. Once we get to this point, we flour it. Now watch this. Flouring is just a touch that you want to do. So the biggest mistake that people make is after they flour it, they simply, like this, they put it into the pan. You see how much flour is left still? This flour will go to the bottom and will burn. So after you give it the coating, gently, get rid of the excess flour. And it's like patting the back of a baby, for those of you who are parents or uncles like me. The scallopini are ready. Now, let's cook them. And let me show you how. Right, let's do this. Let's cook the scallopini. You want to make sure that the oil is super hot so it sears the outside of the scallopini, keeping all the juices on the inside. Now, one of the things that I want you to pay attention to is how do I know when the scallopini are ready? Also, we have another factor that you need to keep in mind. The flavoring that we placed on the outside of the scallopini, in a certain way, what we want to do is to almost sear it. So as you take the bite of the meat, you can taste all this layer of flavors. I would say about 2.5 minutes per is the most that you want to go with. But something like this is more like 1.5 minutes. The scallopini is fairly thin. And remember, we are not cooking these scallopini only in this pan. We just want to get them nice and brown, and then we'll finish them in the sauce. Perfect. Let's take the scallopini out now. In the same pan where we cook the scallopini, we go first with some chopped onions. Together with that, with a little bit of chopped bacon for flavor. Also, what I like to do is add a few pieces of garlic. That part is all Italian, not German. Now, you have to remember that when you cook the sauce, you definitely want to turn down the heat. You don't want to cook the sauce on the high heat in which you cook the scallopini. The reason why you want to lower the heat almost to medium low is very important. The onions are going to start to pick up all the flavors that were left behind by the scallopini, the juices of the meat that you didn't see. Let me show you what I mean. Watch the pan. We add the wine now. And as we always done in all the recipes that you see me do in the past for sauces, this is exactly what we want to do right now. We're stirring it out. You see as I stir, the wine comes back up to the surface. It becomes brownish in color. Those are all the brown bits that were stirred at the bottom. I'm gonna cook this all the way until the wine almost reduces down to a glaze. Now, as the wine is reducing, there is a very key and important addition. And this one, I have to explain it to you. It took me forever to figure out, and the Jaeger sauce, which is basically the seed of what we're doing right here, the secret ingredient is the mustard. If you go for mustard, I would prefer the old-fashioned mustard, what's referred to as grain mustard. It has a much better flavor. So let me show you. The aromas that are coming out of this are splendid. I wish I could send them to you via the camera. Now we proceed with the other additions. Increase the heat a little bit more. Beef stock. A little bit of tomato sauce. A little bit of parsley. And then stir attentively. The next step is crucial. And I want to describe it to you before we go into action and do something about it. There are two ways of approaching this dish. One is that you can saute the mushroom at the beginning of the sauce, and that's how many of the other chefs like to do it. I, on the other hand, want to use smaller pieces of mushroom. I'm using beech mushroom and shiitake mushroom that are cut in small pieces, and add them at the end as the sauce is reducing. Why do I do that? In the process, the sauce is going to penetrate the mushrooms even more, I find, with this technique. Let me show you. And here we go with the shiitakes. All right, the sauce is ready to accept the scallopino. We cannot call them scallopini, what are they called? Schnitzel, this is a German recipe. Let me show you. The first time I prepared this for a bunch of my friends, I said, hey, Nick, what inspired you to do this? And this was my answer. I could not fail. Well, you see, you have to see this from my point of view. When I came back from the trip to Germany, every day for almost a month, I kept making this day after day after day until I finally got the perfect combination. So this is a testament, I would say, to the human spirit. And if you're a Sicilian, you know exactly what I mean. We cannot let it go. Now, the scallopini are ready. And the sauce is ready, and in just a moment I'm going to show you exactly how to plate it. I look at this and I say to myself, you know what? If I can cook something that is not part of my tradition and learn how to bring out the spirit of it, then anything can be done. Dollop of sour cream, a little bit of parsley just for color. I believe that this dish is a mirror of the human spirit, a spirit that believes in the possibility of everything. And this is how you make pork schnitzel with Jaeger sauce. That's if you speak German. In Italian, we simply call it scallopini al sugo. Must be open in your ability to receive instructions, suggestions, ideas from others. Because if you start from the point that you think you're so great and no matter what you do, you will succeed at it, the very moment that you think that way is the moment that you fail. And there's nothing wrong with failing in the kitchen. You're looking at a guy that failed far more than he has succeeded. But in that process of failing, trying to understand why, what went wrong, how did it happen? And in that process, you're going to develop your own style, the way you handle the knife, the way you hold the pan, how you add your ingredients, the type of ingredients that you add, and also to expand the ability to understand how different ingredients come together and they create something. And just because that was not your idea, remember this, some of the best ideas will not be your ideas. They will come from someone else. Strawberry pudding. To many people, it was just a little thing, a nothing thing. But to me it's a mission. As a matter of fact, this version of strawberry pudding, it's so good. I finalized it yesterday. I cannot wait to show you. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, let me show you how to make it. Because it takes some time for the pudding to come together, this is the one thing that you might want to do at least 5 to 8 hours ahead before you serve it. It's better done the day before than set into the refrigerator and then serve it to your friends with a big smile on your face. Look, the steps are very simple. It's done with ingredients that you find at your local supermarket. And on top of it, you do not need any special tools to make it. As a matter of fact, you can do this with just about the same pots and pans you have at home. Let me show you how to make it. In a nice non-stick pan, we start by adding a puree of fresh strawberries. The puree is important because it has the strawberry processed exactly to where we want it to be at, and it's going to give body to our pudding. Here's milk that I'm adding. In this particular case, I cheated a little bit. Not only I added milk, but instead of just doing milk, to make it even thicker, I went half and half. If you want a lighter finish, just go with milk. If you want something even heavier than this, go with cream. But I think that half and half is the happy medium. Cornstarch. Cornstarch is something that is extremely important to our recipe. Why is it, and why are we adding it now? Right now, I'm working over very low heat, almost barely perceptible. Why? Cornstarch has a quick reaction to the heat once the heat gets to a certain point. It's one of our thickening agent. But this is just the beginning, because the really important addition would be a little bit of a liqueur called cassis that I like just to give it a little bit of spice. If you're doing this for children, I would propose not to place this in there, especially if you don't want them to be exposed to any alcoholic beverages. And the next thing that we're doing, I'm gonna add sugar. Only in this case, instead of white sugar, we're adding brown sugar. Why? I find that brown sugar has a set of advantages for me. There is the molasses that's in the brown sugar that has a deep, deep color. And once it gets involved into the making of the pudding, not only it separates from the plain white sugar, but it adds an element of flavor that goes a long way. Now, I'm starting to see that all of the elements that we had within have melted properly. Now, we're gonna bring this back to a very high boil. And once it reaches the boil, we are going to stir this until we notice that the texture will thicken. There is two thickening processes that we're going to do in this. One is the thickening process that we're doing right here, right now, through the cornstarch alone. The other one will be the one of adding the egg. This part is important because we want to achieve two things. First, we want to make sure that there are no clumps of brown sugar that are getting stuck at the bottom and have not released themselves. The second part is to make sure that the cornstarch has completely dissolved, therefore giving a wonderful sweetness to what we have in here. Not that the cornstarch is sweet, but if the cornstarch stays in clumps, if it doesn't cook, you will taste almost a sandy bite behind it. It's like when you cook anything with flour. In a certain way, you want to cook away the flavor of flour. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue stirring until I see a boil almost raising through, and there we are. At this point, we start adding our egg. Now, I have mixed this egg yolk, and it's the only thing that we had, the egg yolk. There is no white in that. I mixed it with some milk, just so that it would give it a little bit of a length to it. What do I mean by length? It gives me the ability to add it slowly, surely, temper it into it, and make sure that as it thickens the volume of this, it doesn't get lost. Now, this part is very, very delicate. You want to continue stirring, you want to see the thickening of it, but if you go over a certain amount, you're going to be in trouble, meaning that what will happen is that the eggs will curdle and they'll become too hard. I see that the thickening is exactly what I want it to be. At this point, I completely turn off the heat and move the pan away from the heat. And you keep stirring. Why move it away from the heat? Even though it's on that portion of the stove, it has heated up through all the activity that we've done so far. The next thing that we want to do at this point is plate it and have a really fun way of doing it, something that's fantastic for parties. Let me show you how to do it. What I decided to do is to use a martini glass. And martini glass are spectacular for this. Now, this will not thicken up until it becomes cold and is spent sometime in the refrigerator. I would say a minimum of 5, more surely 8 hours is what it takes. So what I like to do is to fill it up to here. And then, when you do this for yourself at home, you bring this into the refrigerator and you let it rest overnight. One of the biggest portion of decorating is the whipping cream. This is sweetened whipping cream that I basically whipped to the perfect consistency with a lot of sugar in it. But what I want to show you is this. This is a regular strawberry. So take a look at the strawberry because we're now going to do a very simple trick to it. We're gonna cut it right down the middle. Why? I like the fact that it becomes a wonderful piece of decoration, and here she is. What I think this pudding does have is a shot of courage. It makes you feel as if you can do anything you put your mind to it. And this is how you make homemade strawberry pudding. But what you need to do, You need to understand. Understand how, why, how come. That is the true secret of everything. Yes, I do dress well, but let me tell you, when it comes to the kitchen, I know what I'm doing. Why? Well, some people cook. Me? I mark my time in this world. And when I'm in the kitchen, I want to make sure that what comes out of the kitchen is beautiful. That you can only do if you listen and somebody's trying to teach you something. So don't be like me. Shut up. Listen sometime. It works.
Salad Lyonnaise with poached egg.
Salad. I got a future in comedy.
Action there.
Salad, Lyonnaise with poached egg. Good, there's no planes. Oh, it's a miracle. Let's do this over again. This is, in my opinion, absolutely splendid. Pork cutlet schnitzel with Schnitzel. That alone, it's a miracle. Can you believe I could say that without tripping myself up? And I'm still doing it. It's a good day.